totally unacceptable. Let's go get this thing washed. So I have the red key and we're going into sport mode. These guys park, it's so hard to see anything, you know.
Turn left onto 128th Avenue Northeast.
So I'm in semi-auto mode. The transmission shows M. this car wash is still a bit scary to me, you know, because of course where can you go, right? But because there's a kind of like a transporter lane, like a rubber piece, right, that drags you. For some reason it always seems to me that the car will go sideways, you know, because the steering wheel was not exactly straight. And I'm like, what the it was much easier when I lived in Cambridge, Ontario, right? It was much easier over there. It was a touchless wash, just like this one. This is like, here you can choose actually touchless or a regular touch wash, and I think it's pretty sure the same, it's almost the same price. Of course I choose touchless, but the one when I was in Cambridge, Ontario, over there you just drive, right? Just you follow the signs. You enter and then you park. You park, and then the thing, the nozzles, they travel around you of the car, and then so the car is stationary while the washing nozzles, basically the robot, moves around you, right? That was a big difference. Like here the nozzles are stationary, but the car has to move, right? So I like that setup better. I don't know, it's just a little bit scary, but the quality of the wash is the same pretty much. The front wheels are off the rubber. All right, let's go check it out. Usually there's always people here, you know, drying their cars, but I never do that because I don't think I even have any towels like that. So let's check it out, and then we're gonna chat a little bit about the news, because I do have some things to talk about today. Here's my outline. Wow, what is this? I just noticed this. Interesting. Like multiple scratches here. Probably, I don't know. I didn't go through any brushes or anything like that, but it might be here, I think. For some reason, you see, it doesn't, the wash is like, look, I paid 10 bucks for what? It doesn't even wash this. Interesting. But basically, when it's time to sell this, I'll guess I'll just go to some kind of a, you know, shop where they can fix this. And I'm trying to remember. I don't remember a situation where I would be crazy enough to drive near branches or brushes. Like, okay, I just came back from I only noticed this now, right? So this cannot be from someone hitting me, right? It cannot be from another car, because it's like goes like this, right? Like if there was a car parked next to me, there'll be a scratch in one spot, right? So this means that something was either I was moving or that obstacle was moving. And so, oh, and I just did oil change. So maybe those guys did something over there at Chrysler, you know. This is not good news. Not good news at all. I think it might be from this car wash, you know, because this is the second time I'm doing this, but only now I noticed. So it maybe it just might have just happened now. Anyway, no big deal. We'll just pay somebody to restore it. Now, a couple of issues. So basically, we're gonna call this video Captain Sergei News. And the news today are, so we washed the Hellcat and we discovered some scratches, right, on a brand new car. So now my mileage is in kilometers 2928 kilometers. And the Hellcat prices give me some hope. I keep checking the prices for on the new and used 22 Challenger Hellcat regular bodies, and there's some interesting phenomena going on. Well, speaking about Hellcats, so this is this is the data from 500 kilometer radius, so 300 miles, not the entire country, but 300 miles, 500 clicks of my location. I'm in Calgary, and this time I searched for new and used Challenger Hellcats. You see, like trim here. Trim is SRT Hellcat. So there's 13 vehicles within 500 kilometers, and so we have one used one, 2015. It has 20,000 kilometers on the odometer. They want, and this is Canadian pricing, right? So they want 77.7 thousand, but that's, you know, a very old car. Then this one is 2017. They want 82,000, right? Now here's another 2017, 85,000, private seller, 98 for 2019, which is actually funny because you can buy a brand new one, Hellcat 2022, for 98,000. But what I find interesting is that prices on used Challenger Hellcats are now pretty much the same as new ones, so which gives me some hope, right? So here's also a used one, 269 kilometers away from me. The mileage is 8891 kilometers on the odometer, and they want 115, right? And so there's a couple of more, 117, 118. Now compare this to the new one in Red Deer, 2022 Challenger Hellcat for 114.7 Canadian, right? Whereas here, used ones, is this used one? Yeah, 22, but it has 934 kilometers. So which is an interesting situation. So I don't see
You know how in the States they're saying that prices are falling. I don't see it over here. Like, oh, this is the one, yeah. So 98,000 for a brand new one, right? Was people wanted 114 for a used one, 2019 Hellcat with 8891 kilometers. So it's a very unique situation. So I do hope that my car, so now I pretty much have, this is another brand new one, even cheaper than a used one. You see this? So what I think is that gonna happen is that once these brand new ones, and let's change to national, the entire Canada. So 63. Okay, and let's see, we do 100. Yeah, I see 2019, but I think it's probably wide body. Yeah, this is a wide body. Maybe it's even a red eye, but it has pretty much 22,000 kilometers. So what I'm pretty sure what's going to happen here in Canada, because our situation is different than in the States, is that once these used ones, I mean, once these new ones sell out, and you see the entire country has five standard Challenger Hellcats. Now this one, I don't even count this one, because as I discovered, this $179,000 vehicle, it's not a regular Hellcat. It's a red eye wide body. So I don't want to even, so that one is not even included. So what we have is, we have 22 Hellcat in red deer, brand new, for $115,000. Then we have this one for $98,000, pretty much in the same area. I don't know, is it used or new? No, new vehicle. It's probably just basic, like very basic configuration. So that's 2. And then we have number 3 in Winnipeg, $102,000, and this one. So basically we only have four real Challenger regular Hellcat remaining. Okay, and again, what's funny is that you can buy them cheaper than used ones. So prices on used Hellcats are slowly going through the roof. So what I think will happen, once these 4 are sold out, 22 models, the price on my Hellcat should increase.
Now, I also have been thinking about what I will buy next if this thing does sell, and here's my thoughts.
Thinking about vehicles, you know, what would I buy if when I'm able to sell my Hellcat? And I'm coming back to this. You know, I never had a GMC truck, and I really like this Canyon. Like this elevation thing, you know, 2.7 turbo, high output engine. I really like this truck. You know, this will be a cool truck. It's so tall, so I can go to the Crown Land. You know, I can go off-road. And without any options, this thing over here in Canada sells for 48,000 Canadian. 4-wheel drive, 61.7 inch box, 2.7 turbo, 8-speed automatic. But then of course, if you add options, like it's another couple of $1,000 for cover on the bed and the mat in there. But this would be my choice, you know, if I do sell the Hellcat, something like this. This would be an awesome vehicle for Alberta, for winter, you know, for all kinds of conditions.
Now my forklift is still available, still for sale. I advertise it everywhere, and got an inquiry today. The guy was asking if it's available, and for some reason these very strange people, you know, they ask if it's available. As soon as you say yes, they disappear. I'm not sure why they're wasting my time, but it was just this morning that the guy, I said I received an email from Auto Trader, and they usually call it important sales lead. Someone is interested in your Clark C500 forklift. And the guy says, yeah, is it available? So yes sir, here's the price. And no follow-up messages after this. Got a message from auction here, offering me to participate in another auction, but I'm not going to other auctions until I get rid of this forklift. Now, one of my friends is a heavy haul carrier, and he was interested in this because he wants to buy it, because you know it can lift 12,000 pounds. He wants to buy it for his yard to help, you know, with the trailer setup, you know, when you need to remove or add like a booster, a neck extension, right? So this forklift can work very well, especially if it's inside the shop, right? Not on the dirt ground, because it has cushioned tires, and it's so heavy, right? So 18,000 pounds roughly. So it needs a really hard surface. But on the pavement, on concrete, on you know, dirt that is compressed, it works very nice. I think it's a good machine for the money. Like now I'm asking just 12,000 Canadian, 9,000 US. I think it's a good price. So truck and trailer. Another thing I'm engaged in is helping one of my YouTube followers sell his truck and trailer. He has a Peterbilt truck, and he has a nice 55-ton Fontaine, so he offered me a small commission to help him while he's driving around, so I can help him, you know, negotiate and, you know, and figure out details and how the buyer will pay. So now we have a potential guy in Canada that wants to buy his trailer only, and we're just dealing with details, or you know, how the payments have to be made, because of course the owner of the trailer still has a contract with a financial company, and so now we're trying to figure out if this buyer wants to pay the entire amount to the owner directly, and then he deals with his financial company, or the buyer pays off the financial company and then he pays the rest to the owner, you know. And there's some it can be a bit tricky, right? Because people are afraid that the other party will throw them under the bus, right? And so it's always helpful to have a third party, me, as a middleman, you know, as to help negotiate, to help with the negotiations. Now also, if you remember, I had this overpriced camera, Nikon Z9, and now I've had this Z6 Mark II for a month, and I just wanted to say that I'm super happy with this camera because it's so much smaller, so much lighter, and nobody pays me any attention. And this whole weekend I spent in Banff and Lake Louise. I used this camera, this Nikon Z or Z6 Mark II, because that was the problem. The two biggest issues I had, or actually three issues I had with that Z9 were, one, the size. It was very cumbersome to carry it around. You cannot put it in a regular camera bag. You needed a special big camera bag, you know. Number two, it had a very funny sounding shutter. Like, it sounded like a, I don't know, $10 camera from back in 80s, you know. Click, click. It's not even a click. It was like, just, I don't know, like very funny sound, you know. For a camera that cost 7,000 Canadian, honestly, it was getting under my skin. And issue number 3 with that camera is that because it's such a high resolution, and pictures were fantastic, but because of high resolution and fantastic quality, pictures were also very large in size, right? And so, for example, I have my Pixels website where I upload some scenery, you know, some truck photos, right? The Sergei Dratchev at pixels.com. And those guys, they give you a limit. I think it's 20 or 25 megapixels. And quite a few times when I was uploading pictures from that Z9 or even the previous D850, which had the same resolution, I would get a message saying that, you know, your file is too big, you have to reduce the size. And of course that just, you know, adds another level of, you know, work, and adds to the frustration when you try to upload an image. Whereas now with Z6, because it's only 24 megapixels, so it's, of course, the resolution is less, so the quality is less, but who cares, right? So like if the average file with the Z9 was like 30 megabytes, 27, 28, 30 was always more than what Pixels wanted. Then with this one, I was just checking my photos from this weekend. Typical size was 14 megabytes, right? So it's almost 2 times smaller in size than from Z9. That, of course, telling you that the quality is worse of images, but it's not to the point where they're not usable. They're perfect. It's just that you don't need 30 megabyte image, you know. And last but not least, plans for the weekend. So now it's what, Wednesday, Thursday? No, Wednesday, right? So I was searching online what to do this weekend, and I wanted to rent a car and maybe drive again to the Crown land, public land, and do some shooting. And then I check the rental rates, and they're like 300 Canadian a day, 200 Canadian a day, like crazy, right? Last time I rented a car, it was 30 bucks a day Canadian. So now the prices just through the roof because of the summer. So I'm definitely not going there, and I cannot go in my Hellcat because the entrance to that Crown land is very, very rough with huge potholes. And so instead of that, I think what I'll do this weekend, just what I promised you guys, I see there's some interest in these hiking videos. So this weekend I'm gonna grab my GoPro, grab my Nordic poles, and go do some hiking. Maybe I don't want to drive far because I already have almost 3,000 kilometers on the Hellcat. I'll just probably drive, like, find a nice trail with, you know, moderate elevation, but inside Calgary. So maybe I'll go to the Nose Hill Park. That one has a quite good, you know, gains, and the route is pretty scenic, you know. So that's the plan. So the plan is go and do some hiking on the weekend. Oh, and last but not last thing, actually, I forgot, because I was not aware of this when I was writing this outline. I got an email from my customer back in April. They asked me for a quote on a combine harvester, and I asked them when do they think it's gonna ship, and they said let's say next 2 weeks. So now it's June, and I just got an email saying that the combine is finally ready to ship. And so I looked at my secret book when I do my quotes, and I found that entry where, you know, I wrote down the dimensions, the weight, stuff like that of this machine, and I found the carrier who was willing to do it at that time. And so I called the carrier and I said, could you please you know, advise if the rate is the same or has it changed? And the guy says, yeah, it should be the same. And then a couple of hours, he says, let me check with our heavy haul department. And then a couple of hours later, he says, oh, actually, they changed the price quite a bit. So now he wants 3,000 US more because of, and I quote, frost restrictions. And I'm like, wait, frost restrictions in June, and something about Michigan. Like, this load is sitting in New Brunswick, Canada, which is east of Quebec, and it goes to Baltimore, Maryland. It's not anywhere near Michigan, right? And Quebec has frost restrictions, but they end on the last day of May, or like May 28th. So I double checked Quebec website. Yeah, no, there's no more restrictions. So I sent an email to the guy. I said, hey, what frost restrictions? I think you guys are making a mistake. So if you don't update your rate to a more fair level, I'll have to look for another carrier. And that's what I'm doing now. I posted the load to my carriers and waiting for some for a more reasonable quote. Oh, and also I went to my permit website where I can double check the cost of permits. I ran the permits again, whereas before in April the total cost of permits and escorts was like 4,500 US. Now it shows 3,300 US. Because yeah, April, that's when the restrictions were still in place, but now there's no axle weight restrictions, and so now it's actually should be cheaper than before. So this guy, this carrier, doesn't know what they're talking about. But yeah, this is an oversized, like, you know, combine harvester. It's like 13.6 wide, 13.1 tall. It's a pretty big machine, so you just need to have the right trailer. But I'm definitely not happy with the rate they're giving me, because that's a huge increase compared to what they quoted me back in April, especially since now we don't have any restrictions, where in April we did have frost restrictions. So these guys are clueless, you know. I complained to the owner of the car wash about the poor quality, and they said, oh cool, we can use you as a test subject for this one. And that's exactly, remember I was talking about this, that's what I'm used to when nozzles travel around you. He says, yeah, this is our brand new wash. He says, let's put it in there and it should be better. And also I asked him about the scratches, and he says he saw right away, he says the scratches go up and down. So if this was one of the brushes, it would go like this, you know, if I was passing them, or even if I was going through some brush or bush, it would be like this, whereas it's like this. So he said right away, the guy said, somebody must have leaned against your car. And sometimes it's quite often this happens when people have a bag, like a gym bag, you know, they go to a gym and they're leaning against your car with the gym bag, and those bags are pretty harsh, right? And I said, wait a second, I just remembered something, that I leaned against the car. If you remember, I posted a picture where the lady was there after I washed the car for the first time. I leaned over there and I asked her to take my picture, and I told this guy, I said, could have been from that where I just leaned against the car. He says, were you wearing jeans? I said, yes. He says, yeah, that could have been it. So I don't believe it. So I just leaned against the car, but probably I moved a little bit, you know, but I really kind of like tilted my body, and so I did it. Unbelievable. But he says it's not expensive to fix at all. It's very easy. They can just have to buff it and match the paint. He says you will not see anything. He says when we used to do it, we charged 50 bucks. So of course the Chrysler dealer will probably charge 300 or 500, I don't know. Yeah, so that's the wash, the new wash. So definitely the car looks better, and this thing took off most of the bugs. See, way cleaner now. And they're gonna open this soon, so I'm definitely gonna use this wash in the future.
Yeah, I did it much better.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Okay.
And the price, they said the price is gonna be the same, like this wash compared to the regular.
And one last thing, I just came back, just the car is parked outside. Looks very nice unless you unless you look closely. And I stopped by a shop here in my area. They do you know, the wrap, and they do ceramic coating, and they do polishing. And I told the guy that I'm not sure how long I'm gonna keep the car, and he says, well, ceramic coating, it's about $1,000 Canadian. And he says it doesn't make sense if you don't think you'll keep the car for 5 years. I said, no, definitely not 5 years, maybe 1 year, maybe 2 years, right? I said, I'm waiting for the prices on used 22 Hellcats to go up. And he says, then it doesn't make sense. I asked him, I said, if I do ceramic coating, will it add to the price? Will it help me sell the car at a higher price? And I said, do buyers like cars that have ceramic coating? And he says, yeah, they like it, but they don't want to pay for it. So basically, he says, you will see only a very marginal increase in value compared to a car that doesn't have the ceramic wash. And he says, what we can do is we can just polish it. He says he called it stage 1. So basically, they can do a much better job than what the dealership did. Then they can use better products. And he says we'll try to cover all these little scratches. I think he found only one scratch which was deep, but the rest is all just clear coat, right? And so they're gonna polish it. And also he gave me a price which was okay, and I said maybe let's tint the windows. So I'm gonna have the side windows only. I'm not gonna touch the windshield because that's illegal here in Canada, but I'm gonna do like a very slight tint on side windows and the rear triangles and the rear big window. And so the car will definitely look much better, especially when it's polished and the windows are tinted. So I'm doing this. Today's what, Wednesday? He asked me to drop off the car Friday afternoon, like Friday at noon. And he says they should finish either by Friday night or I can pick it up sometimes Saturday. So that's what's happening with the car. And I guess those all my news. Thanks for watching.